Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Terratech with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to what was most likely a smaller video in which I take a look at the new items which have just been added to Better Future, the brand new corporation in Terratech. So, let's begin with the standard blocks. There is a lot to cover here, and some of them are really interesting. In fact, the most interesting items are in the wheel section. But first, let's have a look at this. So, we have some new blocks to make up the body of your craft, which look really interesting. I don't know how much I will be using these, but they are very good in terms of having connection points absolutely everywhere, just like regular blocks, and they are incredibly light. Apparently, they are also very strong, so I imagine their health is going to be fairly decent. We will be testing that later. So, if their health is good, I think these very well may be the core of a lot of my techs. At least the ones which don't absolutely spam batteries and need every last little bit of internal space. Really nice. Then we have blocks like this, so a lot of variance on these blocks, and then we have the 2 block, which is the dark pattern block, which is now just in a 2 block rather than a single block, which will make things look better, and it is better to have health consolidated like this than build with only singles. So overall, no complaints there. The standard blocks, lots more options, which is always good indeed. Now, onwards to my favourite new section, which is perhaps quite simple, but something I have been wanting for years of playing this game. We have landing gear. Not just landing gear which reacts to how high you are off the ground. So when you are not in flight form, they look like this, but then once you get into the air, they transform into just a regular looking block, as you can see here when I'm building it, which means finally you can build planes without wheels sticking out of the bottom even when you are mid-air. It's something really simple, but something really good. I can't wait to mess around with these later. And they come in various shapes and sizes as well, which is always very nice. There we are. I will be testing that on the plane I built recently, and hopefully they will be a good replacement for the wheels, which do look a little bit out of place. In my opinion, the wheels are the worst part of that flyer, so that's going to be really nice. Onwards, we now have weapons. Now, I do have a little bit of a concern with these weapons. They do look amazing. They really do, and in fact, they look like a really creepy face when they're combined. Actually, less creepy, more as cool. Never mind, I take that back. But the problem is, they are just lasers. Apparently very powerful lasers. Better Future assault lasers. Look at how fast they fire. My issue is, hovers at the moment, I find lasers to be a bit of a difficult weapon to use with hovers because you're never completely still. You're always slightly moving. Lasers tend to be not that accurate. They tend to fire around the target, trying to guess where you're moving, which can be a bit of a concern. We'll find out later. Maybe my concerns have been addressed. Maybe I'm just talking a load of old rubbish. Then we have the smaller variant, the Better Future laser rifle, which does look a lot, in my opinion, like the Robocraft railgun, which certainly isn't a bad thing, because I absolutely love how they look. So 10 out of 10 there for style. Yeah, really like both of the weapons. Again, my only real concern is just I don't know how good they will be on hovers, and considering hovers are the main movement type of this faction, that may be a little bit of a concern, but hopefully those concerns will be addressed. I love how they look though, and these are going to be built into the craft so easily. Once again, a very streamlined build indeed. We have some new lights, which is nice, and they're streamlined, so once again, they can be built into the craft fairly easily. No complaints there whatsoever. Sadly, no manufacturing or power blocks just yet, and I believe that is that. I'll have a quick check of the patch notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then we'll start messing around with the new blocks, starting with the landing gear. Well then, let's set this thing up. The one concern I do have is it means that the propellers and the ion jets and stuff are going to be the only way to move on the ground, meaning that very small movements might be a bit difficult, though you can definitely build around that. That's just a concern for this particular design, not so much about the landing gear, just I'm using the landing gear on a craft which obviously wasn't purposely designed for it. So, let's see how this goes. Can we fit that in just yet? No, we can't, so we need some space. Sorry, missiles, but for now, we are just doing a test. Well, that fits perfectly, doesn't it? Interesting. Whoa, they seem to have little to no friction. Is that good or bad? Well, it's definitely good in terms of getting speed. It's a little bit bad in terms of stopping. I guess I'll just have to manually press backwards once we land, which is fine. Okay, and off we go. And there they go, and if we look underneath, you can't even see them. Which is exactly what I wanted to see. And then we go to land. They open back up, nice and early, and, ooh, a little bit of damage taken, so you do need to be a little bit slow. I was thinking perhaps they might be immune to physical damage, but apparently not. I'm fine with that, it just means you need to be a little bit more careful, which is more realistic anyway. Just hitting the floor at full speed with these things probably should damage them. No complaints, just an observation there. There we are, no damage taken that time, and let's press backwards for once. Yeah, they work perfectly, honestly. Oh, and how cool is that? Finally! We don't have wheels on the bottom of everything. So I ended up going with the medium size for the front and the smaller for the back. That way we could balance out the front, so once we've landed, we don't rock around. Now, people ask me why I put so many of the landing gear pieces on the front rather than on the back, and the reason is, not so much for looks or any accuracy with real life, obviously, it's purely because it makes landing easier. Having a larger footprint on the front tends to mean you end up doing damage to your craft a little bit less, at least with me. So purely, lack of landing skills, really. Yeah, really need to be a bit slow with that. Bit flatter? Yeah, need to land a little bit flatter. Okay, first item tested. Really, really happy with that. I may actually have this as the saved product. Nope, because I do need to redo the back and redo the sides to make that work. Also, at some point, I accidentally removed a wing. I didn't even notice. Need to land flatter. And let's fix this. The next test will be using the VTOL. I'm just making sure everything is still nice and balanced. Yes, indeed it is, but it no longer has the mortars, which is really, really nice. So then, with weapons, we have two versions, this and this. So let's start off then with this. Now, where am I going to place these? Could place two at the back here quite easily. Now, because I don't have that much time today, I won't be painstakingly blending everything in, but I would like to test this out. There will be a brand new Terratech video soon in which I do an entire build of a combat hover, and if these are any good, and if the new blocks are any good, you will be seeing a lot of those very, very soon, so don't worry about that. Yeah, that looks really nice. Ooh, that was just hitting the side. That's interesting. You can't see the shots very easily, I've got to admit, so I do apologise for that. But sadly, these aren't available yet in the campaign. I could bring this into creative mode, though. That's what I might do, just so you can see the shots better and not on a grey background. Okay, so all we have is 4 of the Streamlined weapon. Let's fire away. So I decided not to go into creative mode because this craft is not set for proper combat. It has no shielding or anything else, so it will most likely die to regular enemies, and that will be a pretty unfair test on the weapon. So it's not quite as accurate as I first thought. A lot of the shots are hitting the side of our craft. Although that could be just our angle. Ah, now, you can see the problem I was talking about earlier. Our shots are currently missing because we are slightly moving. In terms of strength, they do seem to be quite powerful. They seem to be just annihilating blocks, yet very quickly, very, very quickly. So sheer damage, with only 4 of these weapons, seems incredibly high. I just don't know how good they are going to be on a hover, that's all. So, that's about it. Okay, there we are. Let's kill that cab. It's dead. Goodbye. I mean, as lasers go, and lasers are perhaps one of my least favourite weapons, so a bit of bias there, I think they're okay. Yeah, I really do think they're okay. Placing them like this is what's causing them to hit the side, by the way. So that's not a weapon issue, that's just an issue of placement, because I thought that looked pretty cool. So let's test out these fellows, which are far easier to place, because they just go on the outside. I mean, you can put these on the outside as well, but these are far easier to do so. Well, I fire slower. Let's quickly take off these, so we're only using 4 of the new weapon type. Then, we'll go and test it out versus some of the shielded enemies over there. Once again, it kills blocks fairly quickly, but because of no splash damage, it isn't going to cause major explosive damage to everything. But sheer damage to one block, yeah, pretty good. Which is kind of the purpose of lasers anyway. Can I please not lock on? There we are, thank you. Oh, shield's gone on, wow. Okay, yes, so for pure damage, that's fairly high. Now, admittedly, these don't have many batteries, but even so, I think I'm going to lose this fight. Yep, see, the shots are missing now because we're moving slightly, and you need to move to compensate for that. Spawning in an actual combat craft. Remember that the VTOL is incredibly vulnerable because it is a transport craft, and that's all it's meant to do. It's not meant to be in a fight under any circumstance. It has no batteries, no shields, no anything. In fact, even its armor is only 1 thick. It will lose in a fight versus anything, honestly. So, let's just quickly place these on this fellow, the old Hawkeye railcraft, which sadly has got less and less use. And I have built that wrong. Instantly building that wrong. I'm a special type of builder. Okay, there they are, rails, go away. Thank you. Okay, let's charge ourselves up and then do a test. So we have 2 rows of the basic laser. Admittedly, the brick is a very hard target to kill. Oh, but there goes the shield already. Yeah, damage-wise, that's not bad for that amount of guns. Considering I test this thing against most weapons, I kind of have a feel for it now, in terms of how long it takes to kill this in comparison. And yeah, there's a lot of them, admittedly, but in comparison to other weapons I've used a lot of, that seems just fine. Let's see, is one over here? Oh, hello. In terms of range, looks about on par with regular lasers, okay. Oh, bit of a corpse there of my fallen ally. Instantly turning off the shields. Okay, yeah, for damage, good, very good. In fact, maybe one of the stronger lasers I've seen. Well, no complaints there at all. Let's replace them with the Streamlined version, and we'll respawn in the block, and we'll see how that does. Well, that just looks weird. But that looks awesome. Hard to see, but awesome. A little bit of an audio glitch there when too many of them are firing, but considering this is the R&D mode and these are all experimental, that's kind of to be expected, honestly. Yeah, when moving, it's so difficult to hit with lasers. Only just a few shots actually landed then. Okay, let's fire at you. We have the same amount of lasers as before, just now the Streamlined version. The faster hits should be better at drilling through blocks, because they're killing and then moving on faster. Not a major feel difference in terms of sheer power. Lovely to look at, though. After looking back at the footage, it seems like these are either on par in terms of sheer damage and turning off the shields, or a little bit stronger than their non-streamlined variant. It's a bit expensive and that's streamlined, so I think they are basically the same weapon, just this one fires way faster. Right? Am I wrong or am I right with that? Nope, the Streamlined definitely fires faster. Definitely faster. So, overall then, with the weapons, I would say I prefer the Streamlined version, not only because I think it looks really cool and the designs with this are going to be ridiculous, but also I find that faster firing lasers tend to be a little bit more versatile versus enemies. Still though, really like them both. Not a massive fan of lasers, but these two I really want to test out. They sort of remind me of the needle laser from Venture, which can also fire very fast, but it doesn't have that uptime, the wind-up time, I should say. Overall opinion? Good. Is it something I'm going to use a lot of? Probably not, but I'll definitely build with them eventually. Now, in the description, I've just realised it has this. This 3 block weighs less than 3 1 blocks, but it's just as tough, which means these do not get a health bonus over the regular blocks of Better Future, at least that's how it reads. Now that is fine. I was expecting perhaps a little health buff, but that's fine as well. Like I've said before, it tends to be a lot better when you're building, and this comes from the Depths experience. It's much better to have a single block with all of the health consolidated into that than having 3 blocks with the health sort of thirded, because then when you're being attacked, it's much easier for the enemy to damage you, then fully destroyed, whereas if your health is in 1 block, damage, then destroyed. Only upon that last bit of damage do you lose all those connections, whereas before, you were losing connections over and over again with the same amount of damage. Still though, I would like to test out the larger variant then. I was going to test out the smaller variants as well, but instead, I want to see just how tough then these are, in comparison to something like Hawkeye. Let's do it like this, that way I won't end up hurting my own cab. I should mention, there are definitely times where building with smaller blocks is definitely advantageous when you want a section to break off more easily, or at least have the damage routed in a specific way to avoid damage to an internal area, for instance. Either way though, let's begin the test. So, we have the 6 blocks over here. It's called the 2 block, but it is indeed 2 by 3. And then we have the 6 blocks over here from Hawkeye, which indeed 2 by 3. Now, the Hawkeye should just win. It really should, but it's here for more of a standard testing, because normally you use Hawkeye for armor, because Hawkeye is very, very sturdy and very easy to build with. So, how many shots will it take to destroy one? We'll find out soon enough. So that's 4. It was 38. I had to restart because I lost track of the numbers. But still, a very, very sturdy block indeed. Now for you smaller fellas. So quite a simple test. We are going to test out 4 different sets of blocks on this tiny little craft. We're going to add 6 of the Venture blocks, 6 of the Better Future single blocks, 1 of the 6 Future bigger blocks, and then 1 of the Hawkeye 6 blocks, just to see the overall difference. Normally it went 71, and now it's only going 63? 63. So that's quite the reduction of 8 miles an hour just for one single 6 block. $67 from Venture, so only a 4 mile an hour reduction. And now this is going to be the most interesting one. Venture in comparison to Better Future regular blocks. $66. Okay then. So the Better Future regular blocks are slightly heavier than Venture. Let's see about this. And yet, by far the lightest, we definitely have a weight reduction for the same size. Okay, so with that, I think we've tested out everything except for the lights. Okay, into creative mode until it's nighttime. In fact, it's nighttime now in this mode, so I don't even need to do that. So then, let's simply add this. Oh, currently it doesn't actually light up the blue section. Well, it does kind of, but not particularly in a strong way. I was expecting a bit more, maybe a blue light itself. So, the lights are just lights then. That's fine. I mean, the actual block itself looks awesome and it'll fit very easily in. It's just not going to light up the night all that much. Hopefully that will change in the future, but if it doesn't, I'm still happy enough with it because it looks cool enough on the craft itself. So, with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments. These lights don't work. Nope, the lights are working, I'm just going a little bit mad there. So, like I was saying before I suddenly thought I was wrong, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Terratech is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. In the next video, we are building a combat hover, which hopefully will do quite well. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.